there was a relationship between light and color, sound and tone, matter and shape.
I think I just figured out what Terrence Howard is trying to express, which is ether. It's 5 in the morning right now, and I was rewatching one of my videos that I shared yesterday because I'm doing a live commentary on his podcast, on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I was just thinking about his ideas, and I think I connected ether and what he's trying to express. And I'm going to show it to you here in this doodle. So, this is a flower of life. This is a depiction of spheres interconnected, interlocking, and they represent oneness and consciousness, the all. That is a very basic description of the flower of life. I'm not going to go into details, but I want to talk about how this is in relation to what Terrence Howard is talking about, which is the empty space in between the spheres of the flower of life. So he's saying that we've been looking at this and analyzing it wrong. The way we're looking at it is flat. It's two-dimensional. It's actually represented at three-dimensional as held here under one of the paws of the food dogs, which guards the Forbidden City. And this is, you can't really see the details here. You can see it if you Google the actual image. The dog is holding a flower of life, an entire sphere. So although we've been looking at this two-dimensionally, it's actually a three-dimensional thing. It's made of bubbles. Everything is made of spheres because everything is made of sounds, and sound waves are spherical. So this is my drawing of what he is depicting. So there's the spheres, right? The 1, 2, and 3 are the circles. And then what he's saying is the space in between is the really important stuff, because this is what he's calling, what is he calling it? I can't remember what his term is. But anyway, the stuff in red is what he's making a big deal about. And I think it is important, but the whole thing is important. This whole thing is a representation of life itself. The bubbles could be a representation of matter, and what we don't see, that in between stuff, in between the spheres, that's the antimatter or dark matter. Dark matter. Dark because we can't see it. And the other stuff, the bubbles, that's light. That's sound. That's what we can see. That's what's visible. So the dark matter, what he's talking about, ether, which he's saying he wants to patent, is what he's creating a form, a cast of all of the dark matter, the spaces in between, and then when he puts them together, he applies magnetism and sound, so frequencies and magnetism, and that's what was able to reconstruct the planet Saturn. So he put together all of these empty spaces. Now, I mean, if you take the outer mold of any solid and put them all together, you're going to get the original mold. I mean, that's common sense. So anyway, he took all these empty spaces and put them together, which then recreates the solid space again. So then he now has that. He applied magnetism, there's my magnet, and frequencies, so magnetism and sound, to this dark matter, which is ether, and created a planet, or a visual of a planet, a cymatic of a planet. Cymatics is something that I've been sharing and showing. You can see sound waves. Sound made visible is the art of cymatics. So what they were able to see with this special dark matter that he's patenting, applied magnetism and played some frequencies, they were able to see this circular thing with some circular spheres and a hexagon on top, which is how the company NASA represents Saturn. It represents Saturn as a sphere with rings around it and this hexagon pattern on top. And that is the cymatic visible representation of frequencies. It's not because of the dark matter. This dark matter exists because of the white matter. Let's use the yin-yang symbol. Right? The white exists because of the black and vice versa. So in this case, the geometry, the sacred geometry, which we call the flower of life, which is made of all of these spheres. It's literally the flower of life. First off, if you're not sure what it is, it's a circle. The circle represents everything, oneness, all. The number one should be represented by this zero. But anyway, this is the circle. The sphere represents oneness. Then you've got the split circle, which is in the Vesica Pisces. I'm just going to run through these real quick. The three, which brings out the Trinity symbol. And then you continue with overlaying that, creating more waves, sound waves. Then you have the seed of life. And then when you get to this point where you have 19, you got the flower of life. So now it doesn't mean that it stops at 19. Maybe we've only depicted it up to 19. That's probably infinite. That is probably an infinite number of spheres and an infinite number of empty spaces between the spheres, which is dark matter, because it's matter or light, and then this is the dark matter or this antimatter or this ether. Either way, this ether net, which this is a net, it said basically all these holes represent a net, and this is the Ethernet. We all know what that is. It exists everywhere. It's just depending on what you connect, that's what you're able to make visible. That's how this universe works. Everything in the universe is connected through this Ethernet, which is dark matter, and then the light and sound made visible through frequencies and magnetism is what produces matter. That's what we see, light and sound. So magnetism, by the way, it's a push and pull. So it's magnetism and radiation. Magnetism is a pull and radiation is like the sun radiating out. It is a constant push and pull, like your breath. Like the sun is constantly pushing and pulling. Everything has this wave. There is nothing that is still. Everything is in constant motion, just like that infinity symbol. So I think we have solved the mystery of the universe, dark matter, the Ethernet, how everything is created. And it's only 5:15 a.m.